Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel and a brand new video. I've been playing FIFA for a really long time. I think ever since FIFA came out. The one that obviously sticks out for me is FIFA, Road to the World Cup '98 with David Beckham on the front cover, PS1. Man, that game changed everything. I think for me, I remember the FIFA back in the day, like '94, '95. Always that certain angle, diagonal, top bins always got you a notch, always got you a goal there. But the game evolved. I kind of lost my way a little bit in the middle there and then came back to FIFA later down the line. But for me, FIFA 98 was great because it had like indoor mode, it had all these different modes that you could kind of play, and it felt such a good game to play. And I obviously love football. It was the quintessential game. Cut to 2021 or 2020, shall I say, where you've got FIFA 21 now, and I'm still playing FIFA. I'm back there. I'm playing it regularly. I'm an Ultimate Team guy. I don't really play pro clubs too much. I'm more of an Ultimate Team player. There is something thrilling about opening those packs. There really is. But one thing I never do, and I've done this for the last few years now, one thing I've never, ever, ever done for the last 3 years is use real money to buy packs. I'm like the worst EA customer ever. The whole kind of pay-to-win world where you kind of invest money to buy the packs to then open the packs and get better players. I've never done that. There's a lot of rewards you can get, a lot of SBCs, like squad building challenges you can do where you can unlock packs, and you can do in the season, kind of throughout the season as well. I'm as good as I am. I'm not going to get any better, these days. I am the way I am, and I'm Division 4, if that means anything to you guys watching this now. In Division Rivals, I am Division 4, and I have been since the beginning of the game. I've been 3 months later. I've not gone to Division 5, Division 3, which get very sweaty, particularly in Division 5. But I've remained in Division 4. I'm competing against top teams, big players. But the ones that I've got are relatively, straightforward. The ones that I've kind of, I've got some good openings, good packs and stuff. I've utilized loan players, but I've managed to kind of sit there or thereabouts, and I kind of tend to win. I'd say probably 65% of the games that I play. But now I want to talk about what has kind of come out in the last few days, which is kind of a big thing really in the FIFA space. And there's been a lot of news about FIFA in general recently. Now I'm being an esports host as well. I've done a lot of FIFA competitions, and I love the game. I love the competitive space, the structure, the infrastructure there is really great. There's some amazing players out there, like F2 Tex and MS Dasari. There's some big players who are really dominating. There's the hashtag lads. There's a lot of really good players, and loads that I haven't mentioned there, but some tons of great ones in the competitive scene. But I want to talk about the more casual play now. Let's take a closer look at exactly what's being said here and what the kind of investigational lawsuit is regarding what's happening in FIFA 21 right now. EA Sports hit with FIFA 21 lawsuit over dictating outcomes through alleged scripting. Now, for those who don't know what scripting is, there's a definition down here actually, which we'll look into in a second here. It says, EA Sports has been hit with a new lawsuit that claims that the alleged scripting mechanic is deliberately used to sell more Ultimate Team packs. Basically mean that scripting is a form of changing the game dynamically from an algorithmic kind of software point of view, so that players' movement, the way that they stop, start, the AI basically is manipulated to force a game a certain way. Deceptive practices and false advertising to drive sales of Ultimate Team. Okay, this lawsuit claims that EA unlawfully tricked players, and this is the bit I was referring to here, utilizing artificial intelligence technologies that adjust game difficulty dynamically. So basically, scripting, you may have heard that before, is when you see certain things that happen within the game which favor a certain team, but ultimately the playing field is biased, leaning towards a certain way to make players who've got amazing teams and amazing players lose out in certain moments to force them to buy even more packs, and for players who aren't at a certain level yet, who aren't hitting those high targets and hitting the big divisions and doing great in the weekend league and things, it's making them lose hard so that they do invest in packs finally, because that's where a lot of money is being made in these FIFA Ultimate packs, which can obviously, they cost a lot of money. They vary from different rarities of players you might pull or get. But the biggest thing about the whole thing is they're trying to say, and there's been a lot of stuff in the press recently about this kind of gambling element. There's a gamble about the whole what you're going to pull. And to a degree it is. Most things are, there's lots of things that have come out in gaming where, you invest money and you could at random get something, out of it. There was some scandal stuff in the CSGO world a few years ago with a couple of YouTube guys and a couple of influencers who had a system in place, had a marketplace that you could purchase skins or gamble on getting kind of on skins, or basically pay to try and get something really cool. But they had a way in the back door, which therefore made it like they had control of this thing. What this is saying here is that EA are actively changing the way the game plays out to basically urge people towards buying new packs. Plaintiffs have built their case. These people that kind of are going against, putting a lawsuit against EA. Alleged failures to confirm to customers that it does impact matches. They're basically saying, just come clean and be honest. This is a thing that's happening. Tell us it's a thing that's happening. EA utilizes technologies like dynamic difficulty adjustment and adaptive difficulty. These technologies use heuristic prediction and intervention or dictate, even influence outcomes, thereby keeping gamers more engaged. So basically, to get you to play the game more, it wants you to be more invested in the money you're spending on these packs to get better players. And as I said, you don't need to do this. There's no one forcing your hand to do this, but they think in a way, are you capitalizing on people who are addicted to wanting to get? Because I'm a casual player. There are hardcore players, and this is the only game they play. FIFA is one of those games as well where you may not play games really at all, but you have a PlayStation, you have an Xbox, you have a Switch, you have a PC, but you only play FIFA because that's the only game that you know and love because you love football. And this kind of thing happens. You invest money into the packs, perhaps, and there's an unfair bias in games which is causing you to lose. That is a problem. Madden NHL as well, apparently are under the same kind of they're saying here, Madden and NHL both incorporate an ultimate team mode similar. I think UFC have the same kind of thing as well. UFC games, we believe that the claims are baseless and misrepresent our games, say EA. So EA have come out and say categorically that's not what's happening at all whatsoever. I've streamed this game. I've played this game. I've invested a lot of time into this game. But I always stand back and how I keep my mental health in check is by basically saying, right, whatever happens if I lose to this team, they've invested money, they're the real loser. And I didn't lose, they lost really because they've invested money. Because I kind of keep myself apart from that because it's not the game that I play all the time. However, others don't have that same feeling about it. Others do invest money, and I would be peeved if this was the case. The fundamental case here, though, the thing that really gets to me, if this is happening, and I don't like to think it is, but if it is happening in games, the consequences of that gaming has become that desperate for money and to earn and to make money, that they're in this place where they're having to rig the way a game dynamically, calling it dynamic adjustment or whatever it might be, is basically saying, we're going to force a game in a certain direction, which therefore makes a game pointless to play. What's the point in playing a game where you don't have any control really over what's going on? Now, someone kindly sent me some footage earlier on, because if you're trying to get your head around what I'm talking about here, there is a clip that I'll show you, which I think pretty darn well illustrates exactly what's going on here. This clip here is of a thing that happened recently. We'll see it from different angles, where you're going to see two players going head to head, one taking a shot, and you're going to see, I think it's Hector Bellerin, it looks like him. One player, in blue, is going to actively move his foot out the way, for a strike to go on target. Watch this. You can see this in slow motion. Look at this. The ball's hit. The player moves the leg. Out the way for no reason. Look at this from this angle. A ball is kicked. The foot, you can see here, going towards it, moves out the way so that shot goes on target. Now, this is a classic example of what we're talking about here. This is what people are getting frustrated. Why is this happening? Why is that leg swinging out the way at an angle which doesn't, which would probably tear your groin, or do the splits, which would definitely hurt if it's not something you do regularly? Why on earth would that happen, that you would pull your leg away like this in this instance? That angle, why would that happen? That's an illustration of what I'm talking about here. Obviously, there's lots of other instances that this kind of stuff's happened before, and of course there is a lot that you can say, this is part of the game. This happens sometimes. There's going to be kind of glitchy moments where things don't quite work in your favor. And if you look online, there's a back catalogue of stuff where you're going to see, players falling on each other and not being able to get up and move. And these little kind of glitchy moments happen because there's a lot of tech going on, within the game itself. But to see things like this happen, though, and see this gone to the level that there's going to be a lawsuit about it, really makes me take a step back going, hold on a second here. This doesn't feel right. This feels very strange. And I like to believe that this isn't happening, but a lot of evidence is saying the other way. Now, the entire sporting industry, when it comes to video games recently, has been under a lot of scrutiny. I think it was Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Gareth Bale recently as well, two very renowned players. One coming to the end of his career, one kind of in the middle. They're both saying now, you've been using my likeness in video games for all these years. You've been using me, as a player, my physical appearance, everything. Why am I not being compensated for this in some way? You're using me to sell your game in some capacity. Why am I not being compensated? And there is a union of some sort, or like a place that does do these kind of deals with the publisher to get this stuff over the line. But players aren't really aware of what that is. They're not really aware of how that's happening, or how that's even coming to be. And they're not, clearly from the sound of things, they're not seeing any royalties from this whatsoever as well. Which again is like, okay, that's strange, seeing as it's so much, obviously FIFA 21 is one of those games where there's a couple of teams that aren't even in the game because they're exclusively in PES instead, like the likes of Juventus, who aren't in the game. Ronaldo and those kind of players are, but they're under Piemonte, I think their name is, instead of Juventus. They're in the same colours and stripes. It's like what PES used to do a long time ago, where basically all their teams were kind of made up names and things, but you knew exactly about Man City and Man Red, or Man Blue and Man Red were Man United and Man City. But that element comes into it as well, which is also a little bit like, okay, so there's a lot going on here, which is a problem for me as well. Like, fundamentally, here's a game which makes a lot of money. FIFA makes a lot of money. It's been doing it for a long time, and people have been calling for these kind of things, this kind of like, this kind of dynamic adjustment kind of like stuff going on for the last kind of few games, at least the last few games, particularly in the wake of FIFA Ultimate Team and YouTube culture as well, streaming culture. A big part of FIFA creators and their content is pack openings. It's a huge part of it. And trying to pack an icon, trying to pack like a team of the week, or like, kind of like a shapeshifter, whatever it might be, a player of the Champions League, whatever it might be. You're trying to pack the greatest things you possibly can. And they may have the finance to do that as it's part of their occupation in some capacity. But there's a lot of casual players out there, hardcore ones too, that they do invest money in these packs. They know what they're going to get. But if it comes down to, regardless of what you get, if you play a game and it is feeling like moments like that you can see, there are moments when the game is being taken out of your hands and something is manipulating it into another person's favor. It takes the fairness out of everything. And when you start to tamper with the purity of something, that's when things are going to get very dark very quickly, because the fact that it's gone all the way now to an official lawsuit, people will be watching this and seeing exactly how this turns out. Because if there's any evidence of this happening, it's a worry. It's a big worry. We're talking about a lot of money here. A lot of people who are, trying to go pro or trying to make it and trying to be better. For a long time now, there are moments in games as well where you do feel that something isn't quite right. The entire meta of the game this year, up until a certain point of recording this video, is pace. Last year it wasn't that. This year it's pace. And if you've got players that are fast, 9 times out of 10, they're gonna burst through, they're gonna score. But then you come down to a fact, you play a game when you got a 98, let's say that you've got 96 paced Mbappe is going up against a 65 paced Mats Hummels at the back or something, whatever. I don't think he's that fast. I think he's at 56 paced, whatever. Mbappe isn't blitzing past him with that pace, and there is some kind of like level playing field, despite the fact that one player in the game has got stats that are double that of its counterpart. That player should be beating that other player every single time. And why is that not happening in the game? You wonder at the competitive level, in the kind of esports pro scene, is there something in the back door, in the mainframe of it all, where that kind of game dynamic adjustability is turned off? Is it that easy? Is it a flick of a switch? Or is it across the entire board? You got to think that when it comes to the pro scene, it is a pure game. It has to be a pure game. When you're playing at a pro level, you cannot have these moments. You cannot have moments where things could potentially be decided by an algorithm that changes things in that moment. If you're talking about prize money, the purity, as I said, of a league, you can't have those things happen. It can't be a thing. On a casual level, though, does it go under the radar? Does people just grit their teeth and get on with it? Of all the games out there, FIFA induces a lot of rage. It's up there with the big ragesters. All right, I've had my moments, a lot of moments. But the moment you start to toy with the idea that rage was induced by not you and the way that you play, and when you play, you're blaming your tools, if it actually is the game itself that's at fault, that's going to be very concerning for the game industry in general. Obviously, this is a video where I want you guys to be kind of, savvy with the situation. You may not know exactly what's going on. You've heard the word scripting. You kind of know what's going on. There's some examples there. Hopefully I made it clearer. Hit me up on Twitter. Details are below in the description. Talk to me. Have this conversation. I want all my videos to have this conversation going. It's all about the community, and you guys let me know what you think as well. FIFA is a big part of my life. It may be of yours as well. And if this is a thing, it concerns me. It may concern you a lot as well. Thanks for watching the video. Hope you liked it. Make sure to let me know in the comments below, as I said, what you think is up and whether you think it is a thing or not. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you for supporting the channel as always. Do make sure to like the video if you did, and as well make sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching. Take care. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, peace out. I'll see you.